In this video, I will be talking to some of the international students living in Melbourne, Australia. I will be asking them about how they are finding themselves in this pandemic and what are the challenges they are facing because of it. But before we get started, for those who are new to my channel, my name is Jalal and you are watching with JKYZ. Australia's response to coronavirus outbreak so far is among the most successful in the world. Prime Minister of the country and other leaders from the state and territories, they came together, figured out strategies and listened to the medical experts. They came up with the new rules like mandatory social distance, international border closures and 2 weeks quarantine for the returning citizens. And most importantly, massive shutdown of non-essential businesses. And obviously because of the massive shutdown, a lot of Australians got jobless. But federal government came up with a plan of supporting payments like JobKeeper and JobSeeker. And thanks to all these trying efforts, from a peak of 400 new cases a day, now the rate has fallen to almost less than 20 new cases a day, which is a massive achievement. But there is one group of people who think that the Australian government has done nothing for them and they have been left out. I'm talking about international students. In one of the news articles, and I will share that link in the video description as well, international students in Australia inject almost $38 billion annually. 36% of the international student spending goes towards rent, which is obviously helping Australian home investors. And another 36% they are spending on retail and entertainment. 11% they are spending on transport, and they are spending almost 3.2% on utilities. They are not only supporting Australia's economy, international students are almost supporting 130,000 jobs in Australia. As they are working, they are creating cultural diversity, which enhance Australia's international standing. So that was a bit of a background of how international students are contributing in Australia. Now let's go and talk to a few of them. So when did you first arrive in Australia and which course you are enrolled in?
I came to Australia in November 2019. I'm studying at La Trobe University, pursuing Masters of Business Analytics.
I came to Australia in September and I am currently enrolled in a Masters of Information Systems.
How this pandemic has affected you as an international student?
I think this pandemic has affected international students the most because on one side we are currently taking online classes, and secondly the job market for international students that has completely changed. Because of the pandemic. There are students who are unable to get jobs, which is very difficult to then cope up for the rent they have to pay, for transport. So I think for international students this pandemic has hit really hard.
And how this pandemic has affected you as an international student?
Well, it has been quite difficult as the classes went online. There were no activities to do and there were no jobs available. So coping up with the new lifestyle was quite difficult.
So is there any financial help from the university or from the state government for international students?
Well, we were not provided any sort of help from the university, neither from the government.
Okay, and is there any fees reduction or fees reimbursement as the classes are online and you're not going to university, so everything is online now?
Yeah. No, there were no reimbursements, no reduction in the fees in the previous semester, neither for the upcoming semester.
So the things at the moment are very unclear for the financial assistance thing. The government initially said to universities to grant financial assistance, and they basically gave the amount to universities to give the financial assistance to students. But universities made the requirement very hard to reach out to get the financial assistance. Initially university said that we will give financial assistance to everyone who is enrolled in university, but further they said that it is for students who are enrolled in their last year or maybe last semesters. So things are kind of unclear from the university and from the government as well.
Prime Minister has said in the statement that when the international students are coming to Australia, they have to show us that they'll be able to fully support themselves during their first year, and that's a requirement as well. What's your take on that?
Well, yes, exactly. When we applied for the visa, that was the condition that we have to show the funds that we can support ourselves in Australia. But at that time, there was no pandemic, there was no COVID-19 at that time. So we showed the funds, but unfortunately, the whole situation, because of COVID-19, the whole world is struggling to get their economies on their feet. But same is the situation many of the countries.
Well, that's right. The Prime Minister did make that statement. However, I don't feel the situation was similar at that moment. There was no pandemic, there was no coronavirus. The markets were flourishing at that moment. So, the Prime Minister's statement is quite irrelevant to the situation that was at that moment.
So, what's the job market will be in future for international students? I know it's really bad at the moment. What it will be like in near future, according to you?
Right now, the job market is really bad for international students, and for upcoming future, I think when this pandemic ends, the government and the job market, the big companies and the even average companies, they will prefer Australian citizens and Australian PR holders first, and then they might consider international students. So I think in coming future, the job market for international students will be hard.
So, what's the job market right now for international student, and what it will be like in near future, according to you?
Well, as far what I've heard, this is the worst phase of the job market in Australia, and I don't think the situation is going to get better anytime soon for the international students, neither for the work holiday visa holders.
Well, I wish you best of luck, and hopefully this pandemic will end soon. I hope that this pandemic will end soon and you'll get back on track.
Yeah.
As you've seen that the conditions are pretty much similar for every student. I would like to say to all international students that please stay positive. This pandemic will end really soon and everything will be back to normal. There are so many people I've seen on social media, they're coming out and they're helping international students, and that's really great. And I'll request all the other citizens as well to do whatever they can in their own capacity for international students. Even if you know any international student and you're just calling them to ask their well-being, I consider this as a big help as well. Until next video, stay tuned, stay safe.